Not much. I just went to lunch, came back, and then didn't see my. That's where I'm at. What's going
I
on?
gotcha. Not too much. I just got home last night at like 1:30 in the morning or something. Yeah. So I am happy to finally be home after 5 days away. And yeah, haven't really done too much since I got here.
Um, so last time, what did we do?
I will pull
We
up my
watched.
notes from last time. We went over me and Jake and Shaken,
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we
who
talked about.
I ended up playing him again at Smash
Yeah,
Game,
I
by the way.
saw, and I thought it was weird.
You watched like the set?
I didn't watch the whole set, but I watched parts of the set for sure.
Yeah, I
And
wasn't terribly happy with it.
yeah, I felt like you were extremely unhappy with how you were playing.
Yeah. Uh I don't even have an explanation really. I didn't think that I was going to be playing him, and I was still kind of upset about losing to Mango, and I think that was
Yeah,
like in my
yeah,
head.
that makes sense.
um, so like I
I'm
went into
pretty.
it.
I understand why you're disappointed, but I feel like you doing better versus Mango is a very good sign.
I thought it was really good too, and I ended up watching the set back, and I
Okay.
was like, dang, I did a lot of really good things that like Sammy and I talked about, and
Yeah, it's like you might have done a lot of bad things or not done some of the things you thought you should have done, but like that doesn't mean you didn't do all the good things,
mm-hmm.
which I think is sick.
Definitely. And like the thing too is like the entire time I was playing against Mango, I felt like I was on his level. It never felt to me like, oh god, like this guy's a god. Like when he touches me, I just die. Like how it's felt that way in the past. Like when I play Armada, it's like, damn, okay, I can't mess up. Or like I play Leffen, it's like, oh shit. And like when I played Mango in the past, even it's like, oh god, his lasers are better than mine, and he's moving so much faster than me. His tech skills more consistent. Um, but it kind of
That's
just
not
felt
the
like
case.
I felt like I was playing a Falco Ditto this time, you know?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Okay, cool. Um, well, are we gonna watch you versus None today?
I am down if that's okay with
I
you.
think that is the most productive thing.
I think so too.
In fact, I trust you to be able to watch you versus Mango on your own and figure all the things out.
I've
And
already watched it like 3 times, and I think I know like almost
yeah,
everything that he
especially
can
based
do.
on what we've talked about before.
Yep.
And then for you versus Jake and Shaken, I will say I had this impression that like this thing happens sometimes in Falco Marth, where like somehow every time the Marth goes for like some random YOLO read, it like works, and they're going for them a lot. And I think that when that happens, that means that like the Falco is like not playing out situations longer than one decision, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's easy to fall into that trap for like a billion different reasons. And like, especially if you were unhappy after your mango set, that like could definitely be a huge factor.
Yeah. And
But
Jake and Shaken is that type of Marth too, who's like willing to whip out like some big read.
yeah. And it's like also what tends to happen in those sets, this isn't related directly, but I'd say it's like correlated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is that like a lot of the times you'll be off in your sense of like what they will and won't respect. So you're like, okay, like I feel like, he's just hitting me a bunch, and then you go and you're like, okay, it's my turn. And then you get near him and he instantly nares out a shield like every time or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have to readjust like your sense of scale or like what level you're playing on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. And it's just something that like I think if you can categorize it ahead of time and understand the nature of the issue, once you're falling into it, even if you can't fix your mentality for the set, you can fix the way you're playing, and often that's good enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, oh, I know that when I'm playing like this or this is happening, it's probably a sign of this. So I know that that means I just need to do this instead. And even if you don't really fix any of the problems, just playing differently will like naturally fix it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
And I
sense.
think that's a good like tournament shortcut, if that makes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind, think of ways to categorize, etc., and little fixes for them. And that'll be a big buff to your tournament performance, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Cool. Because like I've obviously had tons of sets where like I play people, worse than me who I know I'll beat, and it's like randomly way closer than it needs to be for no reason. And I always win those sets anyway, for the most part because I just like know what's going wrong in a general sense.
The main reason I was so disappointed in my Jake and Shaken set, or like upset at myself, was like I don't know. I feel like we talked about a lot of things and all of it made sense to me. And then I went into that set and I was like, well, I can just get away with like this dumb stuff because I really don't think he's prepared. Like,
Mhm.
and it worked. And then I got up and I was like, that was just dumb.
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
if I played against Zayn, I just lose. Like, I didn't make any progress. Like, it's like that meme. Like, yeah, you cheated your way. Like, what did you learn? You know, it's like I stood up and I was like, I didn't learn anything about
Yeah.
myself in this situation.
The worst part is it's like hard to motivate yourself to do that if you're worried about other things though. Like you weren't ready to bring your A game to the set, learn the most you can from it, and walk away happy. Like that's not what that set was for.
Yeah.
That set was like for you to continue one step further in the tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really hard to deal with that, but I think that framing it that way will help you think about it. And I've had so many sets where it was just let me get to the next part of the tournament. And it's so shitty. It's like they're here to compete just the same as you are, you know?
Yeah.
You're not just like a stepping stone, but like it feels like they are sometimes, and it's like
Right. That is actually exactly how I categorized it in my head too, because I thought that like, okay, if I beat Shake and Shake and I don't have to play for another 4 hours, so I can like go take a nap and like readjust my
yeah,
mindset.
let me just win the set and then start.
I was like, let me just use the energy I have. Let me just do the exploitable things I know will work, and I'll just move on and try to play good melee later.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes that's the best thing to do for that day in tournament, but like that's never what you want, right?
Right.
So just keeping that in mind, bring the best you can to the table, and I think it'll just be good for the future. And honestly, sometimes maybe what you should do, I don't know if you'll ever get this chance, but if you get to play Jake and Shake in friendlies, that might actually help a lot.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
And not just for his sake, but sometimes like I feel that way where it's like a tournament struggle for me, even if I'm winning, and sometimes when I'm losing. And then if I play the person in friendlies for like 30 minutes or something, sometimes it helps me like really get down some specifics that I might not be ready to do in tournament. And then for the future, I'm able to like, it'll take less effort for me to play good melee.
Yeah.
I think that's the trap. It's that it takes emotional effort and like mental effort to play the good melee that you want. So when you're not prepared for it, it's just all gone. But if it doesn't take that effort, it's easier to bring it to the table, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
Which is why there's certain people that you play, even if you're not in the mood, you can still play well. But it's not because you magically played well. It's because, you know, it was easier for you to play well versus them.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I think Jake and Shaken's a good example of someone for you where it might be hard to play, you know, good melee for you. For me, like I think playing like a Samus player with Fox would be a good example of like I can never play good melee versus Peach or Samus in tournament unless I'm like ready to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck this shit usually. And that's why like some people switch characters, right? Because it's like, you know, if I played Sheik for Samus, I'd be more motivated to play some decent melee. So, you know, for you, it might be Jake Shake. It could be another character or player too, but
yeah. Randomly, I feel like Falcon is kind of one of those, but
yeah, right. Like I could see why. For me, when I played Falco, Falcon was definitely one of those. I hate fighting Falcon in tournament with Falco.
It's annoying, right?
I love fighting Falcon. Yeah, like okay. So when I was maining Falco, most people don't know this, but there's actually a tournament that made me quit playing Falco.
Dang.
And it was it was after Genesis. I went to Florida. I've been practicing my Falco a ton, and I lost to Gravy and Gatsu in tournament. Both sets were not that close. I had played them both in friendlies, and you know I was beating them. And Gatsu was like, "Yo, man, like you know," because I was housing with him, and he asked me to money match at his house after the tournament because he felt like I played pretty poorly in our tournament set. And he wanted to see like if he'd actually gotten better, and I triple 3-stocked him in the money match.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was like brutal, and it was like I felt so. The way Falcon feels to me is I feel stuck in tournament. Is the best way to win. I feel like every time I try to do something, it either gets me nothing, or I get clipped, or I feel slow. It feels like I die at 60 for no reason a lot.
It's like you're describing my life. Yeah.
Like Falcon is that matchup in tournament. Like I get it. But then I watched the VODs later, and I realized that there was a ton of things I do in friendlies I wasn't doing in tournament that were causing me to like end up in those situations. And I didn't realize it at the time. And I was like, and this was like a year or two later. I watched the plots and I was like, oh, man, that was a pretty simple fix. I just like, I just didn't. I don't know why. So I don't know what we'll see here, but I just wanted you to know that I very much relate to the Falcon feeling. It's like very annoying.
Well, I'm glad.
It's annoying. But
the one thing before we go into this,
Yeah.
I think that would be important to preface this with is I had an idea of what went wrong in my head when I stood up after losing.
Okay.
And I went back, and I haven't watched the whole set back, but I watched a couple of games, and I'm like, what I thought was going wrong was not the case. So
Okay.
I'm interested to see, and like I don't know why there's necessarily like a disconnect. I think it's because of my lack of experience in the matchup, and then like
well, what did you
also
think went
choosing.
wrong?
I thought that like my moves were getting out prioritized, and that I was just like, and this happened sometimes. It would happen sometimes, but I think I made it a bigger deal in my head than it like truly was.
Dude, that's so common. That's like literally so common that like the interaction you want to work doesn't work, and then you think that's the reason you're losing.
Yes.
Yeah. That happens to literally everyone.
I think I'm usually pretty good at separating those things in my head though. Like I'll go back and watch sets, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that thing did go wrong, exactly how I thought, and then I'll come up with an answer. I'm like, that's cool. Not all the time, definitely not, but in against Falcon specifically, it's like I that is exactly what it is. I want this thing to work, but it doesn't, and I don't know why, and then it's frustrating. But it only happened like 5 times, and that's definitely not the reason I lost the set. But in the moment, it seems so important to me. So yeah, it's just kind of like I thought I was trying to stuff approaches, and instead was just like legitimately getting out prioritized. Like he was just spacing around me or timing things better than me.
Yes.
Which did happen quite a bit, but I mean, like I had openings and I dropped a lot of edge guards for sure. I think I'm using crouch cancel in the wrong ways. I think I'm scrapping improperly. I don't think I'm lasering correctly. Like those were the things that I truly noticed when I went back and watched.
Great then. I think this will be. I actually think that like this is probably going to be a lot more similar to like our first lessons, where it's like, well, what you're doing could be good, but like the matchup isn't being played right or whatever.
Yes, I feel
like
you've
improved on that so much that like once we talk about this, I think it'll be pretty clear. So I have this link up. Do you have it open?
I do indeed.
Okay. How big of a deal do you feel like platforms are versus none?
Not as big of a deal as the other like top Falcons, but definitely a big deal.
Okay, because I feel like he doesn't use them a whole ton.
No, not as much as the other Falcons.
I want to watch the FD game first.
Okay.
Because, and maybe this is my bias because I like FD a lot, but I always feel like the very basics of the matchup are always most exposed on FD. Like the ultra basics. Because like if you can't do them right on FD, I feel like you definitely can't do them right on the other stages.
Yeah. I think the FD game is the game I win, but
yeah, I mean that's fine.
Even
I mean, you might just win because things work out well. But honestly, if you actually win for the right reasons on FD, then that makes the problems even easier to find. Because then we watch, we watch a platform game and it's like, oh well, it really was just this.
Yeah, definitely.
But it also could just be, coincidence, because FD's a stage where if none messes up one more time, you just get a whole nother kill, and then it's like, so let's watch it first and then figure. We'll see what happens. I don't think it'll be too hard. So, is it playing for you on the FD game?
It is playing for me on the FD game.
Okay, so the ledge thing was really bad, right?
Right.
Okay, so I don't know if that happens to you a lot, but that stands out to me a lot.
It does, yeah, actually. I don't know how to properly respect Falcon on the ledge because I feel like they have like legitimately good mix-ups.
I think so too, but I think at the most base level, you should never space in the ledge hop nair range.
Yeah.
Unless you're planning on CCing.
I don't even feel like CCing is like that effective in that situation anyway.
It's not super effective, but I think if you're at 0 and you're crouch canceling, not ASDIing, it's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think it's like your primary go-to by any means. It's just like, definitely don't get hit by them. Okay, so on Wake Up, you tried to Shine Turnaround Laser. I feel like Shine Instant Bear is much more standard there and more likely to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's my first thought there. So already we're saying, okay, so like ledge, wake up options. And when I think of none, like that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Also, that's like a pattern that he does constantly that I have no idea like what to do necessarily. When I was on Wake Up and I did the Wake Up shine, he dashes past and then comes in with like a
Yeah, and then it
pivot
comes
nair
with
with
an
a
aerial. And
flippy.
it's like, oh, back air is the easy answer.
I Sammy, I swear I tried back airing and it just doesn't seem to work.
It depends on the timing too, though, right? Because
Yeah.
air can hit the startup of your bear. So,
Hmm.
and none's really fast, so that's another thing. But like, I think it's just a matter of frame advantage, right? Like you have to know, do I have time to shine and still get the back air out or not?
Hmm. Well, what I ended up doing was I was doing a lot of just like straight up auto cancel bear on Wake Up without even doing the shine.
Yeah, yeah, and that will work even better. Sure.
Right. But what would happen is the first hit of his nair just whiffs and then he pulls his leg back and then he dips lower like he fast
Yeah, yeah,
falls.
the second hit hits you.
The second hit hits me like in the crotch or whatever, like
Yeah,
underneath my back
yeah,
air.
yeah. Yeah,
And I'm
so I
like,
mean,
what
the
the.
real answer is like maybe you just don't need to shine so much versus none.
Yeah.
But like not bear either. Like you can just dash. You can do anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think here in this specific one, shine bear would have worked.
Shine bear. Yeah.
Um, let's see this. Nice, nice. Okay, so a couple things already. I think.
Mhm.
Um, one, I think your tech skill hasn't been super good.
I agree.
I think you mess up a lot. You messed up the dash into nair on the left side. After you lasered, and then here you messed up your fastfall timing on the up air.
Mhm. I
Like the
also missed my L
fastball.
cancel on the back air before that.
Yeah, yeah. So lots of execution. So there's
Yeah.
always that. And then the second thing I noticed is it seems like you're unwilling to take risks in spots that could get Falcon killed. So right here where he's off stage, it's risky, but you could just run off and hit him right here.
Yeah, with like double jump dare.
Yeah, I do run off shine, but because I think
Mm.
there's more time than run off double jump dare.
Yeah.
Or like it doesn't take as long to do.
Mhm.
Does that make sense for this specific one?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like run off shine more in this one. And then here, where you lasered him getting up from the ledge, laser grab is really good versus Falcon there.
Mm.
Because if he just holds shield, which, if you think of how most Falcons play, they just hold shield, you forward throw him off stage and you get a chance to kill him.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even from that spacing, I think. So the reason that stands out to me isn't that you should have done those things, but it's like when I see two in a row where you didn't take any risk and it's someone telling me, oh, this isn't a matchup I'm comfortable with, then I'm
Mhm.
going to take my best guess, which is you probably don't take the right risk.
Yeah.
And versus Falcon, it's easy to feel like you should just zone him out. But really, the reason Falcon's weaker than a lot of the other characters is every time he's in one of those positions, he actually has a chance to just lose his stock.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like if you just grab a fox there, the odds of you taking the stock are not that high. Plus, the risk for going for the grab is much higher, right? But
Definitely.
what's really the risk of going for the grab there?
Mhm. Mhm.
Pretty low risk, I'd say.
Definitely.
And then you get like sometimes you just get a 50-50 for a kill. Okay.
Thank God I hit an edge guard. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, is he gonna hit it?
Oh goodness.
Okay, so this is another one. Respawns versus Falcon are huge. I think you played it right. You just have to put your shield up when you see him jump.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
that something you've thought about actively at all? That like proactively as a thought, you should shield when you see Falcon jump.
Mhm. Mhm.
Unless you know that your dash is like going the correct direction to dodge him.
Right. I didn't think about that. No.
Okay, cool. So that's the really useful just trick for every character versus Falcon is the first thing you check is am I dashing the right way so that if he jumps, he'll miss? Because Falcon kind of has to guess which way to jump, right?
Mhm.
But then the second part is if you shield every time he jumps, he'll just never hit you unless he goes for like empty lands. But then he has to he's essentially guessing right on your dash and then empty landing and then having to guess right.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so like probability wise, it's actually really hard for Falcon to get a hit when he wants to. It's
Yeah.
very
It sounds unrealistic to do consistently. Yeah.
yeah, which is one of the reasons that he's a relatively weaker character at a top level. Even though I think he's really good, it's like a big difference between Falcon and a lot of other characters is he doesn't just have the raw mix up for hitting you.
Mhm.
It's really, really hard for him to hit you.
That makes sense.
This is good. Nice. Nice. You missed your up air again.
Mm-hmm.
You messed up there. I think you could have done bear to double jump bear.
I definitely could have, yeah.
Yeah, he did a really weird DI, but I'd say you got too close to the ledge there.
Yeah, as soon as that laser happened, I cringed.
Yeah, right? So it's like, and then look at your pressure. Like, okay, so in my opinion, Falcon, just think of it in theory. Falcon stands up from the ledge. Falco's already right next to him. Falcon's forced to shield.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a garbage situation for Falcon to me.
Yeah.
But look what happened.
Uh,
Just something's wrong there. Just without even thinking about exactly what you did,
yeah.
just clearly something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So what should happen in your head? Falcon's getting up. He's probably going to shield. Falco's right there. What's the situation turn into?
Like with my back turned to him, like it was, I could do like a late dare shine turnaround grab, or I mean that's like the first one that comes to mind, or just
Sure.
like late aerial shield pressure sequence.
Right, so any late aerial shield pressure sequence, but let's think further. It's like, I like what you said about the grab, because the real thing that's on the table right here is if Falcon gets thrown off the stage, he's probably dead, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Falcon's in a situation where what it breaks down to is he either gets grabbed and gets thrown off the edge, or he rolls, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's literally all he can do.
Yeah.
So definitely. In my mind as Falco, all I'm doing is find a way to grab him or find a way to bait him into doing something to dodge the grab.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally all I'm thinking. So you could empty land turnaround grab. You could, empty short hop and then wave land away to the roll. You could do a late aerial shine wave dash away. You could do whatever you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the crux of the situation is he has to roll to not get grabbed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if you frame it like that, it becomes easy to play.
Most definitely, yes. Sorry, I'm writing a lot of things down.
Yeah,
Sorry if I'm not responding necessarily.
And then, we could analyze this and be like, okay, that weird dare drift away into turnaround, probably laser attempt was not a good idea.
It was definitely a laser attempt. I feel like the whole thing was just a really bad idea. Like, why would I do an early fadeaway aerial on Falcon who can near me out of shield? Like, why would I try to do specifically a laser after that, which takes a lot of time to allow him to
down air over like back air or something, honestly.
Yep.
Because risk reward wise, if the back air hits, he's just dead anyway. So
yeah.
But like, instead of analyzing this in depth, I'd rather just think proactively about what we should do instead. Because you can clearly see that wasn't good. But like, if you don't have the replacement in mind, it's pretty useless.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But now we know. Also, a useful thing in the matchup is since his Nair is always reactable for the second hit, right? Mm-hmm. Is that something you've thought about at all or no?
Yeah.
So second hit Nair is always reactable because you have time to see the first hit. So that means one, just talking about the thing we talked about earlier, you can always shield or crouch in time. But two, if you're getting hit, you can always DI it in time. So there's no reason to get hit by Falcon Nair and not DI it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And if you watch Mango, something that stands out is anytime he gets hit by second hit of Falcon Nair, he almost always DIs down and away.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes the matchup a lot. Like, I remember, funnily enough, one thing when Wizzy used to ask me a lot of questions, and he'd go play tournament matches, one of the only things he would always say about the match was, oh, they got Nair grabbed, so it was an easy match. And, like, he would categorize players in terms of, like, was it easy to Nair grab them or hard to Nair grab them? And he used to always beat Swedish really easily. And he would say, oh, yeah, when I play you and Pluck, you guys don't get Nair grabbed. But since Swedish gets Nair grabbed, the matchup's easy. And, like, that's how big it is. Because, like, if you DI down and away, you have time to dash, shine, spot dodge, roll, do an aerial. And that's where Falcons start doing mix-ups where they do Nair and then they just go for a knee. But as long as you're not spot dodging every time, it's, like, fine. So, more food for thought.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Yeah, but none classic.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he gives it to people. He's never given me a stock like that on one of our tournament sets.
Really?
It always made me... I wasn't sad. I was just kind of confused. Because that's not how I wanted to win anyway, but I was just like, oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I actually think I came on top of that situation, but I don't think I played it that well.
Yeah, so I was actually going to say this earlier. I feel like a lot of your pressure, and we talked about it versus Marth, but I think a lot of it's either autopiloted or it's like you decide what to do one step too early, at least. because a lot of your pressure seems generic when I watch it. It doesn't seem like, so going back to like the corner situation, how did we solve that? We talked about in terms of like what's the objective here? What's the actual mix up going on?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the thing lacking in your pressure is that there's not a specific mix up you have in mind. It's like here is a set of pressure sequences I can choose from.
Yeah, I think a big problem with the shield pressure thing for me, and like I don't even think it comes through a lot in my tournament play, but I think like what is most likely to work and like leave me in a safe place. I think,
Mhm.
but I don't think like if it works, is it valuable? I just think like is this like a meaningful like is it something that will potentially work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think like well if I grab him he's dead. I'm thinking like well I mean like this will probably work because it's a mix-up. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think okay. So talking about mix-ups, so this is actually really useful. I think I don't know how you think about it, but Smashers as a whole, I think, use mix-up pretty poorly, and even
Mhm.
fighting game players do too. So I have a very specific definition of mix-up in my mind.
Okay.
Hmm. Actually, my first Patreon video ever is a video about what is a mix-up. So maybe I'll send it to you, but I think I can explain it for you.
Okay.
To me, you are in a mix-up situation when there is a way for you to cover every single option the opponent could choose, and there's no way they can avoid that.
Hmm.
That is the crux of a mix-up to me. Because if they have a way to that is literally unhittable for that situation, I would not call that situation a mix-up.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So that's like the simplest thing. So when we're talking about, okay, you hit a shield, what's the mix up? I don't think what are all the options Falco could do. I mean, to me, the crux of every single mix up at the end of the day is, I mean, for shielding, it comes down to whether or not you can be grabbed, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you should frame everything in that context. Now, does Falcon care about getting grabbed by Falco? Well, that's the question, right? Because if he doesn't care about getting grabbed, then what's stopping him from just holding shield? But then you get into, okay, so if I think he's going to hold shield, what do I do about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it breaks down from there. But that's what I worry because when I see you like pressuring, a lot of times it feels like you said, you're just like, okay, well, here are my mix-ups. But when someone says, here are my mix-ups, I'm like, well, do you actually mean, rock, paper, scissors? Or do you mean like, here's a bunch of things I can do?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too that you said like, does he care about getting grabbed? Well, that's the question. But there are like obvious situations where he has to care about getting grabbed.
Yeah.
So then it becomes like a lot simpler, I think.
Yeah, it really does. And have you watched traditional fighting games at all? Are you familiar?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So, like, what's the one you're most familiar with?
Like I've watched a good amount of Street Fighter, and I've watched like a
Okay,
good
so
amount
like
of
Street
DVD
Fighter is an
fighters
easy
too.
example. So, like, what's the mix-up in Street Fighter, right? Like, again, much like Melee, the mix-up always comes down to pretty much throw or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you hold down back in Street Fighter, and there's no crazy character-specific thing, you're literally unhittable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you think about it, you literally cannot be hit if you are holding down back for most characters.
Uh-huh.
So, like, when people get hit doing all these other things, it always confuses me. And when I play Street Fighter, I don't get hit because I'm like, well, the mix-up is just, do I hold down back or do I look for the throw? And nothing else actually matters that much, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are things with people continuing their pressure sequences longer and longer. And in Street Fighter V specifically, there's a whole mantra of take the throw because if you get baited into throwing and you get shimmied, you lose like 40%. But if you take the throw, you lose 10%. There's no mix-up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, which one's better? Obviously, you just get thrown. Like, I'd rather lose a match getting thrown 7 times than get shimmied once.
Yeah,
and that's what it comes down to, though, right? It's just what was the mix-up. And then you see people getting hit, it's like, why? And that's how I feel about Melee. It's like, what are all these pressure sequences you're doing if not geared towards eventually hitting him? It's like, what is he doing to not get hit, essentially?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not going to grab him, what is he doing, What do you think he's going to do instead?
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So the more specifically you think about it that way, like mix-up should be a very RPS-y thing. Like maybe not exactly 3 options, but usually it should be like 2 or 3 options max.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like 4. I don't think if you're thinking about more than like 3 or 4 options that it's actually a mix-up anymore.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's a mix-up in a very theoretical sense, like, oh, I should mix these 10 options up in neutral at this spacing. But like at that point, it's like, we're not really talking about the same thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So I think you should put some thought into that and see where that takes you.
I
Because
definitely will. Yeah.
and we talked about it versus Marth. It's like, well, what is he likely to do? What can he do? Even we're like, oh, well, you would pressure completely differently now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the same thing here. So if we watch this pressure sequence, maybe we can figure some stuff out. So what? Falcon's at 0 here. Okay, so he tried to chase his wave dash
Mm-hmm.
/ roll, and he got a shield up. Okay, so let's even look at the situation from the beginning. So if you do shine, you probably didn't mean to shine Waveland down like that, did you? You missed the shine and tried to double shine, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, first of all, execution. But second of all, if you do shine Waveland down, what's the situation afterwards, right? It's like, well, he could have either moved instantly, but if he moves instantly, you can't actually catch him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he can't move instantly on reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would have to guess it. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just, thinking about it in that sense, it's like, well, if none was able to wave dash out at the right time, that probably means he kind of knew what you were going for.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that means he was just sitting there waiting, right?
Yeah.
So what could you have done if you knew he was just going to sit there waiting to wave dash out?
In this situation, probably go for like another late aerial after that, or like turn around laser in that spot.
Sure, right. Like if you turn around laser immediately instead of like going for like a double shine, then you kind of like he just sits there, he takes the laser late aerial, and then you get a better pressure sequence, right?
Yeah.
So that's the classic, right? And you're hitting the nail on the head. But like for a lot of people, they don't think of it as like, oh, well, he's just sitting there, so I should have just done something different in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's the crux of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then also you could, I mean, it would have been very easy to just grab him.
Right.
Also, I think grab is much better on FD than the platform stages versus Falcon.
I'm terrible at getting anything off of my throws on Falcon until he reaches 37 and my forward throw knocks down.
Yeah, I think up throw is not bad versus Falcon on FD specifically.
What do you generally try to look for after you up throw him?
Okay, so he's going to double jump, right?
Probably, yeah.
Right, like if he doesn't double jump, you can actually combo him somewhat similarly, unless his SDI is pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've never played a Falcon that knew how to SDI up throw, so that's not really a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, okay, you can just go for up throw nair, up throw, shine or whatever aerial, unless he jumps. If you read him jumping, you can just wait for it and go under him and look to either up tilt him falling, or what I like about the up throw on FD is the absolute worst case scenario is you get to laser his landing off the double jump.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that's such a strong situation inherently that's pretty good anyway.
Yeah.
It's like I try to shark him, see which way he jumps. Also, you can force him to double jump towards the corner, which I think is really valuable because it's like if you hold center waiting for his jump and he jumps backwards, you get to reactively laser or approaching laser, and then Falcon's in the corner, and if you hit him once, he probably dies.
Oh, this is all coming together.
Yeah. So you see like the importance of percent, forcing him into the corner, etc. It's like it's very different than like Fox, for example, where you're like, he's in the corner, now he's just gonna ledge dash and I gain nothing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. Cool. So we're seeing some stuff. We got this pretty good sequence. The F smash was great. He should be dead here. Okay. So is it clear to you what went wrong there?
Could you go back to the forward smash? Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things. I could have lasered better, but
so the lasers were pretty bad. Let's figure out what exactly went wrong. Because I think the laser was the right decision, but I think your fast fall timing was off.
My fast fall, I could have also fast fall double jump bared right here, I think, instead of just doing the double jump bear way too early.
Yeah, you should have fast fallen first and then bared, right?
Yeah.
So why did you get it wrong? It's clear watching this, you know how to do it.
Yeah, it looks like I thought that if he had continued to completely drift forward, that like potentially this would have hit.
Yes, which is true. But if you had done fast fall double jump bear, that would have hit both, right?
It just would have hit both, yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much, if you can get to the peak of Falcon's jump or peak of his up B, you can always bear every single drift before he can even do it, or like as he does it.
Right.
And I think
At this
Go ahead.
point, he had drifted a little bit, though. Oh, not even really, though.
He barely drifted, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Not
god.
enough for it to matter.
Mhm, mhm.
So I think that's a big thing. But
Mhm.
also thinking about how to time your lasers is really important because you can always do the laser timing to beat his instant double jump timing.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can force him to delay his double jump. Like I think if a laser forces him to wait longer before double jumping, that laser was successful.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? That's all you need out of it. So you don't
Mhm.
even need just hit laser, always laser at the timing that beats his instant double jump, and then you just kill him out.
Yeah. I mean, I I think about the same thing a lot, and I do it against most characters. And I feel like I probably tried to do it there, but I could have done
Yeah,
the full
so
hop laser into the
do you think
like
maybe you know, I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think you messed it up then?
I I couldn't tell you. I
Yeah,
don't know. Like
something's got to
watching
be
it
going
back,
on.
it's so obvious to me that I should have like full hop laser and then fast fall lasered. Like tick tick, but I just do them both at the same height for no reason, and
Mhm.
neither of them were effective in accomplishing anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we saw a bad respawn play again. I
Mhm.
think you decided to roll for no reason
I did.
because he full jump up air, and it was a terrible full jump up air because it wasn't going to hit you anymore.
Yeah. Oh god.
So see, it's not like all your and it's useful to keep in mind. It's not like all your opponents are perfectly reacting. It's like none did a really bad full jump up air.
Mhm.
And if that were Mango, he probably would have just dash danced and then Shark Falcon's landing and then taken another stock.
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
So,
I wasn't watching him. I already had an idea of what I thought I should do, and I just did it.
hmm.
Oh goodness.
But I think that's something you can just fix for every matchup all at once because it's just training how you play the respawn.
Yep. Yep.
Just make just make sure you react more. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's talk about this quote unquote mix up. So you laser, and you can even see that he wave dashed into you on the second laser, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I feel like short hop late bear is a really bad option there.
Mhm. I'd
The
agree.
lasers were good. But again, what's actually happening here? It's Falcon doesn't want to get shined, but also grab beat shield. And if he's gonna shield, I'd rather pressure it with something other than short hop really late bear.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like either look for shine on his shield, look for grab, look for a late aerial or late laser that's not back air, or you read his escape option like if he's gonna roll or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I
I
think, oh, go
I
ahead.
I would just want to say I think a huge part of this that's been missing for me that like you're pointing out is that I don't think about grab as a valuable option against Falcon, or at least I didn't.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, don't get me wrong, at zero, yeah, grabbing Falcon, not the best. But it's like he's still doing things to get away from you, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that's the part that's missing is like you're not thinking about when he wants to get away from you or how. But like when you commit to hitting him where he is, you're not committing to doing that in a very good way either.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
the part that gets me. It's like, well, if you don't even think he's going to avoid you, you might as well get a really juicy pressure sequence. But then you're not even getting that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nice. The back air worked.
Yay, it worked.
Ah, so you see, you baited the roll because he
Mhm.
has to roll to not get, pressured by late aerial or laser or grab.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think there are probably better ways to punish the roll.
Yeah, I agree. I
I
feel
think
like
you
I do.
improvised it well.
Yeah, I do this back air because PP used to do that back air, and
Mhm.
I like practiced it. So like when I see the roll, I feel like a lot of times that's kind of my instinct. Um, but it probably shouldn't be. And we talked about this situation against Marth too,
Yeah,
when he
yeah. It's
rolls
like you
into
might as
me.
well punish it harder.
Yep, might as well.
Yeah, I agree. And you see, but think of it. Why did he roll there? He's rolling because he doesn't want to get hit in the corner.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that again, frame it that way. Even if it's not grab, it's just remember he doesn't want to get hit in the corner. So let's talk about this edge card. There's only one thing wrong here, which is you grab the edge.
Okay, I was gonna ask you about that. There was
Yeah.
no reason for me to grab the ledge,
Yep.
right?
Don't grab the edge versus Falcon unless like he can double jump to it, and it's like if he was gonna grab the edge, you probably could have covered it in a billion other ways from this spacing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like even just laser forward tilt or dash attack would cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
So
think me jumping off initially was good?
let's see. I think you did it too early.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make
That
sense?
makes, yeah, it does. It does. I I'm lucky I got that one. I feel like I don't know.
I think the way you jumped was good though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We look at your initial jump timing, I think, because you cut off one angle, the drift back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it wasn't useful.
Yeah, I
So
guess that works.
interesting. That game looked pretty easy for you, despite like I think a lot of things not going that well.
Yeah, holy cow! I feel like I could have played. I at least done a million things better, pressured more effectively.
And you still won, so it's like,
Yeah, it's wild in
oh,
my
let's see what
brain.
happens this game.
I get demolished.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so first thing we see is you chased him onto the platforms,
Mm-hmm.
and now
It
you're
didn't go
above
well
him,
for
and then
me.
he keeps hitting you, and then it's like. So I'd say chasing Falcon on the platforms, first of all, risky in the matchup. Second of all, when you are on the platforms, just find a way to get down safely. You don't have to get
Mm-hmm.
down quickly, just get down safely. But if you notice how you tried to get down, you kind of disrespected the fact that he was still like near you. That
Yeah.
was a great shine.
Thanks. Can we go
Back
back
over.
there to? Can we go back to
Yeah,
the when he
the
nairs
nair.
me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird because you wave dash forward, but you like weren't holding down.
Mm-hmm.
Now I would assume you would be holding down there.
Yeah, I don't know what else I'd be doing.
Yeah. So that was my major thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um. So he got out of your pressure pretty easily there, right?
Yeah.
So again, what's really the mix-up? He's just waiting for double shine and then doing things.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what None has waited for double shine and then done an action almost every time you fit a shield. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
either that or just rolled away.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's where you either shine turn around laser, shine late aerial, shine turn around grab, or you can do like delayed double shine or whatever you want. You can also just do shine retreating aerial and then do whatever afterward.
Do you feel like that's good against Falcon? I never do that pressure sequence anymore. Like I never just do like late aerial shine fadeaway aerial
It's
because
like it doesn't really cover anything, but like if you think he's going to instantly shield grab or instantly nair out a shield, it beats it, and then you can kind of be safe after,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which isn't bad, depending on
I
like what you expect him to do.
yeah. I feel like I don't do that anymore just because I played against Clindy so often that he just wave dash out shines me.
Yeah, but not every character can wave dash out shine.
Exactly. So I feel like it's something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. For sure. That was good. I actually think the fall through down air is really bad after the first one because of the
Really?
spacing you were at made it so that it wouldn't have even really covered that much.
That's true. I I need to practice it. But Kalindi, like 4 years ago, showed me that if you hit them with like one down air, almost every character in the game, if you dash into them and then shield drop down air, it'll shield poke.
It'll shield poke. Yeah, I do that a lot actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I want to do that more because I think I just kind of autopilot shield drop there after the first one, and it like
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
accomplish
No,
anything.
that's literally something I do a lot. But yeah, it's the spacing, right?
Yeah, yeah. You think that would be something worth going for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, okay, cool.
You could also even empty land and then do it. Like you could do so many variations on it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that are all really good. And then after you down tilted him, you jumped up and then you still tried to dodge maybe a get up attack, but then you still went for the back air, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to happen. I feel like.
Right.
So that's one of the bears that traded with Nair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you notice, look at your drift.
I drifted in. Yeah.
I actually think if you didn't drift away in the first place, though, and you just jumped into him, it would have just stuffed it.
That's interesting.
Because you jumped away and then drifted in. But if you drifted into him, it would have actually just hit the beginning.
I almost never do that, actually. That's so wild.
Because if you aren't close enough, it won't actually hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing with Falcon's Nair is it's not that it's disjointed, but it has ridiculous range.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's pretty slow. So I actually think if you jumped into him, that would have worked. So this is kind of funny. You had the right idea, kind of, but not quite. So when you bared him off, you ran off at a timing that would have been good for like almost a combo.
Oh, yeah.
But
So
if you wanted to beat the double jump, it's actually like you have to run off later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think your brain just like got confused between the options in that situation.
That is interesting. Yeah, I agree.
You just messed up there. Okay. So nice. That was really good.
Thanks.
So I think
What am I doing?
yeah, so I think just don't grab the edge. Fixes the
Did
problem.
I grab the ledge again?
You grabbed it first and then tried to get up.
Yeah, why did I grab the ledge?
It's just a habit people have. But it's like, honestly, he had such a bad angle that I might have stayed on the platform and just shot a laser first. Or like fall through laser, rather. Like stayed on the platform, fall through laser to beat his double jump, and then gone out. And I probably would have even just downered his up B. Like just dash jump, double jump downer.
Okay. Yeah.
But because he went at such a bad angle, you had a free laser first. But then once you were, and then we can even talk about the end. Once you got back on, you didn't have time to get up there to the right height for the back air anymore. So I think at that point you just stand still and then either up tilt his drift in or like forward smash the drift out or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
So just thinking about how much time you have.
Oh, really bad down air.
Yeah.
Why?
So that's actually twice now you've gotten hit with just coming down from the platform.
Yeah.
Okay. This worked. Whoa, crazy. I feel like you're actually pretty slow there. If you did that sequence fast enough, you would have been able to pressure him when he came up with that back air. And then after the scramble, you just shot your laser really low.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just like, and that's what happens. You were so ready to shoot all the good lasers until it was a scramble.
Yeah, yeah.
So I actually think a lot of the scrambles, you've either been slow or barely chosen the wrong option. Okay, you grabbed him that time. But again, I wouldn't have even empty hopped in the first, or like short hopped in front of him in the first place. Because it's like, you can just grab him.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And then otherwise he's just going to roll, right? Because if he rolled here, all you get is a back air on the roll, which sucks. Because you hit him the other way, right?
Right.
And then let's look at this. I feel like the short hop timing and spacing wasn't right to threaten him here.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
What do you think I should have done in this situation then?
I don't know. Let's see. So let's talk about the laser first. Laser good, bad. So it didn't hit.
It didn't hit. I think I could have done it faster and higher, and I think it would have caught his jump.
Okay, so maybe that's all it is. Funnily enough, someone asked me about this exact situation recently, and I was talking about how like you should lab when the laser doesn't hit. Because if it hits, it's the best option, and if it doesn't hit, it's literally the worst option.
Yeah.
Because if it hits, then they have to delay their double jump. That gives you the time, right? So I think that's all that the situation is. But at that point, when it didn't hit, you should have just not jumped and maybe used forward tilt or forward smash. Or even run off double jump aerial. You just didn't have time for the turnaround short hop anymore. Got up air for the shine wave land again.
Yeah.
I actually think if you timed your shines right on the CC, you would have been successful.
Really? Because this happens to me constantly.
I think you should. You can actually shine, I think, in between the jabs a lot of the times.
Yeah, I don't try to. Okay, I'll do that.
Think
it looks like I can.
Yeah. I actually think that's the strat. You don't want to wait till you get gentlemen.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that happens to me a lot, so that's really good to think about.
And then even after the gentleman, if you shine perfectly, so the weird thing with all of this is I don't think any of it's really reactable exactly, but you can kind of assume the timings. Because even the gentleman, you can actually shine that.
Yeah, if I had done it before he pulled back.
Yeah. Just not on reaction.
Right.
So I think laser jab probably wasn't that good.
No, I was pretty happy with a lot of things I did in the last
No, that was super good. But then again, laser grab is just on the table, right?
Yeah.
And then the lasers I think weren't particularly well timed. They weren't badly timed either, but I think you should have done that exact sequence very slightly later, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that is kind of what it looks like.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you just do it slightly later, and then you realize there's no reason to be on the edge, and you just got up.
Mm-hmm. Why am I even grabbing it? When I'm
And
looking
just
at this,
grab
I'm
it.
thinking, what am I doing? He's
They
not
just all have that habit of like, okay, first you grab the edge, and then you bring on the edge guard.
right. Oh God.
So I feel like we figured out a lot of things here.
I agree. Yeah.
Um. Okay. Cool. So we're seeing a lot of interesting things. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we should spend the rest of our time. Maybe we can watch someone else play it.
Okay. Yeah.
You're
That'd
down.
be interesting. I'm super down.
Um, I don't particularly have anything in mind. So if you do, I'm down.
Just Falcon versus.
Falco. Yeah.
I mean, Mango's like the obvious thing, right?
Yeah.
I think even watching him and Nunn had a set. Whoops, I muted myself. Him and Nunn had a set at Summit, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That might be interesting to watch. What do you
Okay.
think of that?
Yeah. Sure. I'm down.
Cool.
None.
Do you want me to send you the link or?
If you already have it, send it to me.
Okay, cool. I sent it to you in a DM.
I don't think I've seen the set. I think Mango. Honestly, I don't even think Mango's that good at the matchup, if I'm being real. But I think he plays in a way that is good versus the current metagame. I mostly think I actually think the Falcons are really, really, really bad at the matchup for like at a high level, but they've figured out how to make it work like for the most part, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that the way they play it's pretty bad, and Mango gets away with a lot. I've seen a lot of sets where like if they just dash dance grabbed after laser, they'd be beating Mango.
Yeah, why don't they do that?
I don't know. I mean, it's the thing where like I think the Falcons also feel pretty stuck. So they're very ingrained with like a set of options of like, okay, I'm going to shield first and then jump, or like, I'm going to just be on the platforms, or they never jab after laser, which is a really good option for Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things. Funnily enough, I think if you combined every Falcon, they actually do a pretty good job. But like individually, I don't think any of them really have it put together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you have this open?
I do, yes, and it's
Yeah,
playing.
here, Battlefield, same stage. There's something I think about this. Is I think Mango's execution looks way cleaner.
It's a million times cleaner.
Right,
Yeah.
so that was a big thing. But then, funnily enough, we see Mango not respect Falcon on the ledge properly and get nared.
Mm-hmm.
And then he should have gotten air grabbed.
Yeah.
None didn't really believe, but he should have just gone for it. So what happens here? We see Mango chase onto the platform, and it's not a good situation. And then he just puts his shield up and hits None afterwards anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So funnily enough, though, we actually see Mango making similar errors, but I feel like what's happened afterwards has gone better for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then also his execution's better. So
Definitely.
but I think we're seeing a lot, and this is what I was talking about. Mango makes a lot of the same mistakes most people do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he gets nared out of the air randomly. I'd say that's pretty bad for Mango. You don't want to get the short hop where he gets nared.
Definitely.
That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what even happened here?
He lasered the nair, pressured the landing with late down air.
Yeah, so I actually think this is a big thing Falcon players don't do. They don't really double jump or wave land after getting laser.
Mm.
Because if Falcon wave lands there, he can actually dash dance grab that downer.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But it's just not an option people choose. So, Mango's strategy of essentially just like laser him out of the air and do an aerial is like usually really good versus Falcon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mango chased him onto the platform, got up aired, chased him into the corner, got up aired. His pressure was bad. He got shield grabbed. So again, we're seeing like a lot of the same things are bad. It's just I feel like Mango's offense has been a lot cleaner.
Definitely.
But okay. Chased him onto the platform, got up aired again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. But again, I feel like somehow every time Mango's gotten hit on the platform, he hits none afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I
So
feel like he's watching the drift and then like hitting and moving.
yeah, and then following it well. So that's what we're
Yeah,
talking about. Oh, that was a cool idea.
yeah. The shield drop double jump up air.
Yeah, I like it.
I call that the Kalindi hop.
The Kalindi, huh?
Yeah, he
Like,
told me about doing that like 5 years ago.
yeah, it's a really good idea. Chases on the platform again, but gets his shield up. So that's interesting. That's happened a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And then again, actually covered the option. Funnily enough, he did something similar to you. It's just because he had already up tilted, it had set up the timing really well.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think Mango would have noticed regardless,
Yeah,
but it's just
He's
pointing out
also
the up tilt was the delay he needed.
yeah.
Whereas
He's
when you
also
did it, there was no delay.
he's a CC shine the jabs in between the jabs twice now.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, just even these little things, like we're seeing like a direct comparison, right?
Also, the 2 times he's back aired, none just like in neutral. He's drifting the back airs into him, like you were
Which is
talking
what
about.
we talked about, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Because you hit the startup.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then here Mango went for the read on the double jump aerial, so he just crouched. But the mix up there is you just run off double jump down or you run off shine, right? So we're seeing even when it doesn't work, Mango's at least playing the mix ups.
Right.
Which is super important. Ended up on the platform, he got hit a bunch. So again, we're seeing one of the biggest things is Mango actually gets hit a lot of the same ways, but then outplays none afterwards. I'd say that was pretty good defense by Mango. He like went for probably a shield grab or a wave dash. Looks like a wave dash. DI'd through him and then was able to get the whip punish.
Yeah.
Pretty good defense. Cool. So having watched that, what do you think?
I feel like my execution should be cleaner. I'm also not shielding at the right times against Falcon, I don't think. Like you said, like if you see Falcon jumping, you can shield. I feel like what Mango would do is like he'd let none like nair through him and then wave dash out a shield and like start a clean pressure sequence and then would end up generally getting a hit. It looks like chasing Falcon onto a platform isn't very effective, but it's something that like you can minimize the risk when you do it, unlike what I do and just like keep trying to hit him.
Although I do think Nunn wasn't playing the situations afterwards pretty well. So I mean, if Nunn was playing them better, maybe it would have actually been quite bad for him.
Yeah.
I just think that's a skill Mango has in general, is he's better at minimizing the bad things that happen in those situations than most other people. Funnily enough, I think that's why he's losing to Zane so much, because there's not much minimization to be had versus Marth.
That makes sense.
Once you're in those situations, you can't like luck your, outplay your way out of it. You're screwed. So
yeah,
I think a lot of the bad risks Mango's been taking lately actually are why he's losing, because he outplays Zane everywhere else. So I think that's kind of a funny thing. And then we see versus Nunn, I think Nunn doesn't play it well enough, and then goes great for Mango.
Something interesting is that like Mango still didn't grab almost ever.
He didn't grab, yeah, I agree, but Mango just never grabs.
Yeah, he never grabs.
He also, to be fair, almost never ended up in the situation where Falcon was just sitting in the corner.
That's true.
Like that just wasn't an interaction that really came up. So I'd be interested to see what he does if it does come. I still think he wouldn't grab, but I think that a big reason for that is the Falcons are pretty bad at dealing with pressure for the most part. So he just pressures them until he hits them eventually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd say Nunn is probably better at dealing with pressure than the other Falcons. But you watch like Johnny and Wizzy, and they just sit there holding shield.
Yep.
Like that's literally all they do, and it's like.
And then they roll if they like eventually they realize
like Wizzy does either stomp out of shield way preemptively or sits there holding shield, rolls or nairs. And like you'll see Nunn, and he's like, "Oh, I will full jump and up air, because even if the up air misses, I full jumped and now I'm away from the pressure." Also, don't know if I've ever seen a Falcon wave dash out of shield besides that one time Nunn did it on the reason. So like that's probably another reason Mango doesn't really grab. But like, if people were better at dealing with the pressure, like he probably would grab more.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Or he wouldn't grab and then he would lose. So I mean, so cool. Well, hopefully that helps.
It does.
Yeah, you can practice it a bit, think about it. I'm always down to talk about it if you have questions, but I think it'll be pretty intuitive.
Okay, yeah,
Once
definitely.
down, because you'll probably still mess up the edge guards a little bit or some of the pressure, but you'll at least notice it and then cool. Okay. Well, do you have any other thoughts?
I don't think so. Let me think for a quick second. If
Yeah, think about everything we talked about. Make sure
Mhm.
everything's good.
I was just like maybe a last little thing is that we didn't really see was I was talking to Tafo when I was at Summit about like how to tackle the Falcons because my bracket was like I had to play like S or J and then Wizzy twice, and I was like I feel like they have this mode where they start full hopping and then either like fast falling or not fast falling and like coming in with different aerials and stuff like that. Or even just jumping off the side platform. And I was like, well, how do you deal with like that height as Falco? And I talked to Mango about it too, and they both had the same answer. Tafo and Mango had it individually. They said like just full hop laser stuffing Falcon in the air seems to like work really well against
That's
Falcon.
so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it works really well. I agree. I just like never use that as my default.
Yeah, I started doing it once because he said Tafo said that like there are two Wizzy modes. He's like in the shield mode where he tries to reversal you a lot, or he'll start hopping and like try to come down on top of you.
I
So
agree
he's
with
like, if you notice him going into full hop mode, you can kind of just shut it down and then
that's
force
true.
him back.
Yeah, I mean, I think for fighting Wizzy specifically, it's really easy because he just always approaches the situations in modes. So because of that, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, I feel
But
like Nun is a bit more dynamic with the way he plays neutral.
yes, I agree. So because of that, it's not always so black and white.
Yeah, you can't see him full hop once and be like, aha, he'll full hop again, I bet, and then do your full hop laser.
I agree.
Okay.
So I'll end with, can I show you some clips of Falco Falcon?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I wish I had the broadcast from this, but it is long gone now. But I have some clips that were recorded that I think you will like.
Okay.
So here's the first one.
All right, I'm opening it. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, let me know. And I think it's just a way to cover an option that's different, but
oh, are you talking about the up air?
yeah. And it wasn't like the idea that you should up air, but it was just the point that like when you know the mix up, it's like you can do anything you want, right?
Yeah.
And when I watched you versus Falcon, it felt like the mix up wasn't happening.
Yeah, no,
And it wasn't that you should do this thing. It was just like, okay, look, like I know he's gonna double jump aerial or double jump to air, so I'm just gonna set up a guess. I'm gonna guess right, and you should just always kill him off the guess. And I see a lot of people not guess, or they guess right and then don't even get the kill.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that you like always get the kill. And then there's one more that's important.
I like the balance overlay, by the way.
Yeah, right. The old days.
Yeah, classic.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, I like this clip for a couple reasons. I actually like the beginning of the clip more than the end. The end has a shield break, but I want you to more so see the beginning. There's two stocks. So I like the beginning for a couple reasons. One, I think my pressure was more relevant than what we've seen overall, because you see the wave dash away covers a roll, but then I switched to bearing because I'm like, okay, well, if you didn't roll, then I'm going to bear and then drift in. And then I like how I played versus him in the corner where I just lasered till he got up.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I got the down air afterwards. And then covered the options. And then I like the drift I used for the full jump for the edge guard.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like, this is a good example of everything we just talked about, I think. Just like executed one particular way.
Definitely.
And then even though the pressure sequence was kind of whatever, I think there's two good things about it. One, when I knew he was going to hold shield, I dashed behind him and did jump shine waveland down. So after I air dodged by accident.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I did that literally because I was like, well, I know he's going to hold shield, so I might as well fuck up his timing. And that's kind of what we were talking about versus None, where it's like, okay, if you know he's just going to sit there holding shield, just do anything you want at a different timing and it'll just completely mess him up, right?
Yeah.
Because if he's waiting for double shine, let's say, and you land and then do dash, jump, shine, waveline down, that's such a different timing that there's no way he's going to do anything right. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think I killed him off of it. I forget how, but I remember also thinking that I killed him the right way. Oh, the laser into forward tilt timing.
Oh, that is really good.
Right?
Oh.
So it's just like, again, you know what he's going to do, so just time it right. Remember, there was one where you tried to short hop double jump bear, and I was like, oh, just F tilt him or something. Yeah, this is a good example of like, oh, well, you know, so just time it the right way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of
Cool.
sense.
So
Ooh,
I
like
remembered, I remember doing those a long time ago. And I was like, this might be a helpful illustration. Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to go to my next lesson, but hopefully you feel ready to tackle this.
Yes, I do. I'm excited to practice and pay attention and do good things.
Yeah, I'm always excited for that. All right. Well, good luck, Avery. We'll talk next week.
All right. Bye, Sammy.
All right. See ya.